What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drive for Show DFS for Dough here on RotoGrinders. Happy to be with you as always, talking about another week of golf and recapping the week that was with the U.S. Open. So I am Justin Van Zuiden, aka STL Cardinals 84. I've got Noto Derek Farnsworth alongside as usual as well, and yeah, it was an interesting tournament there, Noto. You and I were both live there for the $15 Millie Maker on Draftkings. We had top 30 lineups at one point on Saturday, but with the leaderboard being so tight there, it was a lot of movement within the top 5 or top 10 on the leaderboard, and we ended up falling just a little short. But was still a fun week of golf there at the Country Club last week.
Yeah, no millionaire winner for me, but a good week overall. Had Fitzpatrick on the outright, which was nice. Ended up having, Rahm, Fitz, and Zalatoris betting. So I was feeling pretty good after Saturday's round, and then Chef just came out firing. So I was sweating that pretty hard. I thought the tournament was awesome. I thought the course was amazing. Hope they go back there soon. And, yeah, Fitz, he's worked so hard adding a lot of distance to his game. I even went, listened to his, interview afterwards, and he talked about the stack system. So I might end up ordering that to get a little bit, more swing speed for me. So, great seeing him win. He just hit so many good shots. That one on 15 from, the middle of the crowd, and then obviously the bunker shot on 18. Just to hit 17 of 18 greens for a guy that's known for his short game, just you got to think he's a deserved winner. Although Zalatoris, 1 inch away from forcing a playoff. Scheffler missed a couple short ones, so I loved it. What about you?
Yeah, it was great. Feel a little bad for Zalatoris, I think, because partly because he's been so close, and partly because I said back in January that he was going to win a major this year, and he could very easily have 3 wins in majors. So feel a little bummed that at least that he wasn't able to force a playoff, because that putt 95% of the way there, I thought it was in, and it just slid by. So tough for him. I'm sure he'll be happy with the paycheck, and he's rolling along with a solid season. But major wins don't just fall at the doorstep. Guys like Ricky Fowler can attest to that. That, yeah, you say, oh, they're close, they're eventually going to come, and for some guys they don't, and you just never know what the future is going to hold. So bummed a little bit for Zalatoris, but really cool way for that tournament to finish there on Sunday with several guys in the mix. Rahm was still in the mix, Rory was still in the mix, lots of big names there, as we always talk about with the U.S. Open. The cream rises to the top, and that was certainly the case last week. And you still had your share of feel-good stories. McCarthy made a run. Hadwin played pretty well. Nick Hardy was in the mix for quite some time. So Joel Damon had a really solid week. But at the end of the day, after 72 holes, when push came to shove, it was the big names that you would expect up there. So kudos to Fitzpatrick for getting the job done after being close, admittedly, himself a few weeks ago at the last major. So it was nice to see him win, and nice to see a stacked leaderboard on Sunday. Other thoughts from the event there? It really looked like, Friday morning the +4s were going to get through the cut line, and then the winds died down, and it played a little easier for that afternoon wave. And you had a whole bunch of chalk like Connors and Sung J M and several others that were there missing the cut by 1 shot, that ended up swaying the 6 of 6 percentage from like 20% down to about 2. So it was a really interesting cut sweat there as well.
Yeah, the cut sweat was something else. I think Data Golf had it like 95% to be +4, and the other 5% they had projected was for +5. So they thought it was going the other way. So anyone in at +4 probably thought they were making the cut. I think Sung Jae made a birdie on his second to last hole. He was probably feeling pretty good. So yeah, interesting to see the course get easier in the afternoon. We don't see that very often, but the leaderboard was awesome. You mentioned a couple of the surprises: McCarthy, Hadwin, Dom, and it's kind of nice seeing a mix of shorter guys, longer guys, up on the top of the leaderboard. And the only downside is the U.S. Open app. We get better at tracking.
Terrible.
We get better tracking for the Sanderson Farms during the swing season. It's just it's so bad. You never know where your guy is. You're watching on TV, and then you pull it up on the app, and they have the guys mixed up where they hit their shots. you have shot 1 and then all of a sudden it says shot 5 and you don't know what happened in between the next 3 shots. It's just a mess. So I hope they put more money into the app moving forward. But I love the event that they put on. I think they got, they didn't let the course get away from them. Everyone always, talks about the course. That's always a big story. But, not this time. Everyone's trying to just, love the course, love the layout, love that you can make birdies or bogeys on the same holes. I kind of like, that anytime we get that kind of mix.
Yeah, they actually, on the shot tracker portion of the app, they had the drives mixed up on 18, the final group. They had Zalatoris in the bunker and Fitzpatrick in the fairway. How does that happen? There's two relevant golfers left on the entire course, and some people might be using that, as their only means to follow it. And they had the shots backwards on 18. Just brutal in terms of live shot tracking. Especially since we've gotten spoiled by the other, the technology for the other events, the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open, clearly lagging behind the Masters and the PGA Tour events, and who knows what the Live Tour will end up with for technology. But for their first event, they didn't even have a leaderboard on their website. So, come on, people, you got to get with it. And you can say, you can make the excuse that it's only once a year, for the U.S. Open and all that. But, the Masters could have used that as an excuse too. And then they, wowed everybody with that new design. It's probably been 3 or 4 years now. But anyway, the U.S. Open's in the rearview mirror, so you can delete the app. You can delete the shoddy tracker. You can worry about all that. A year from now, we'll worry about that again, and hopefully it's improved by then. Any other storylines, thoughts that we've not gone over here?
Yeah, a few more. Patrick Cantlay, a lot of people were hating on his major record and never near the top of the leaderboard at all. Made the cut on the number and then sneaks into a top 15 to quiet his critics there on Sunday. So that was interesting. And then, you had Morikawa and Xander both shoot themselves out of it on Saturday. Xander was 8 over after 10 holes on Saturday. Morikawa was just pretty bad the whole time. So if they would have just held on a little bit, they would have been, more in the mix on Sunday. And then Adam Scott, is this guy just tired of being called the best looking man in the world? On Saturday, I was watching his round. Tan shoes, tan pants, tan shirt, tan jacket.
Different shades of tan.
And then a tan hat. 5 different articles of clothing that were all tan.
And it was different. Like, it was different shades of tan. It wasn't all the same tan. Worse? I don't know. I guess he can laugh at us, I suppose, if he wants to. But it was very strange.
Tired of shooing away the women, I guess. So he just dresses like his skin color.
He played pretty well on Sunday. Shot a couple under and moved up around top 15 there himself too. So,
one other thing. Did you see Cam Young on Friday?
I did. So he went birdie, ace, birdie, birdie, and then missed the cut by 1.
Wild. Just wild.
And he probably still outscored quite a few people that made the cut.
Yeah, probably a bunch. Yeah.
And I didn't have any of them, so that I was getting a little tilted by that because, I had myself a decent start to the week. So, and I didn't have like any of those guys at +4. I faded Sung Jae in because of the ownership. I had no Cam Young, so the cut line worked in my favor. And as I mentioned, it was only 2% 6 of 6 lineups. I had 13% 6 of 6 lineups and 40% 5 of 6 lineups, and I was like right around break even after Friday. So I was right around break even, and I had significantly over the field 5 of 6, significantly over the field 6 of 6. I ended up losing $600 for the week. So the one week where it probably would have behooved me for a like 25 under type of event is the week that it doesn't happen, and that's the week I get a bunch of 6 of 6 lineups. So despite having all those extra lineups with 6 of 6, I went backwards on the weekend. So that was a little stung a little bit.
Did you play just the Millie, or did you do some other stuff?
No, I just played the Millie. It probably would have been around break even in the other contests too, because I didn't play Fitzpatrick. So which I'm not really sure why. Was he on the bad? He might have been on the bad side of the weather
No, he
draw.
was on the good side.
He was? Then I don't know why I didn't play him. I just didn't. And that was dumb because I've been playing him pretty much all year. So we'll chalk that L up to me. There wasn't really any reason why I X'd him out other than probably trying to trim down my player pool a little bit. And it didn't work, and he won. But that's okay. Those things happen sometimes.
Have you ever had a profitable milli maker?
I've never won one. So
just like a week where you were in the green in the milli maker. I don't think I've had one in 10 years or something.
Maybe once, but I can't pinpoint the time or the specific examples. I just feel like there might have been 1 week where I at least had a core that was reasonably good and ended up with a small profit, but it wasn't anything outrageous or anything like that. It was very tilting last week, I'll tell you that. You just, you see all those 6 of 6, you figure, well, I'm going to kind of glide up with a few of them. And despite having won in 14th place at one point on Saturday, it all went downhill. So you really got to peg everything to make a good week out of those. But anyway,
we can't all be Mr. Tolbert.
We can't all be Mr. Tolbert with his 95% Fitz and 95% Zalatoris and 80% Denny McCarthy, and it all worked for him. And if the forum still existed on RotoGrinders, we'd be having quite the debate about it. We'll keep it outside of this show, but we can give people the backstory if they're confused on it at some point. But outside the scope of our show here tonight, he won and we didn't. And so we move on to a new week with the Travelers Championship. And why don't you tell the people a little bit about the course this week?
Yeah, I love this event. It's TPC River Highlands in Connecticut. The course, par 70, one of the shorter courses that you're going to see on the PGA Tour. Just under 6,900 yards. They got 2 reachable par 5s, 1 drivable par 4, and I was looking at the scorecard. I think the second hole is only 340. So maybe these days golfers are going to be going for that one too. I can't remember the exact makeup of it, but at least have 2 par 5s, drivable 4, maybe another one. It should be on the easier side of things, especially I was looking at the forecast. Doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of wind in the area, at least the first few days. It's Pga design, so you definitely don't need to be a bomber. The fairways are really wide, but you don't want to miss these fairways. One of the bigger penalties for missing fairways on the PGA Tour compared to when you hit the fairway. The green regulation number is really high, and these are small greens, so that just kind of tells you this is somewhat of an easier course. I'm looking for guys that are really good on approach, guys that are good putters, guys that keep it in fairway off the tee. I don't think around the green is going to play that big of a factor just because a lot of these guys can be hitting greens, and the scrambling success rate's pretty high here. I actually went and looked at every course that they played the last 2 years and looked at where the strokes are gained compared to each other, and strokes gained around the green here was the 4th lowest of the 43. So I'm taking that out of my model this week. Looks like a lot of the approach shots are going to be from 125 to 175. And yeah, pretty much anyone can contend here. You don't have to have one, specific skill set. Should be a fun week.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking through the shot tracker data from last year quickly, just to see, how some of those holes played. And that second hole, which is a 333 yard or 340 whatever yard par 4, it kind of doglegs to the left a little bit, and the left side is protected by trees, so it's tough to go drive it. Now Bryson played here last year, so I kind of looked to see what he did, and even he was about 60-70 yards short. So seems like the second hole is a layup for most of them, but I mean, you're still only going to have about 70 or 80 yards in on that hole if you hit a good tee shot. This is also a course that tournament that featured an 8-hole playoff here last year, won by Harris English over Kramer Hickok. So 8-hole playoff, and Americans. What's that?
No birdies in that playoff.
Yes, not till the 8th hole, and this is again their playoff format was 18, 18, 17, 18, 17, 18, 18. Like play a different hole or two. Like the stock par 4, 450-yard holes, just play a different hole in the playoff. Play a par 5 or something.
Yeah, why don't they play the 3-hole stretch that goes over the water that they got the drivable par 4?
I have no idea.
And the par 3 over the water.
Yeah, play 16. You only got to go back one more
16,
hole to play the par 3 over the water. It's very strange. Like, if baseball can put a runner on second in extra innings, you can play a different hole in the playoff. You don't have to play some archaic format that makes no sense anyways. Regardless, 8-hole playoff here last year. Harris English became the 23rd American winner of this tournament over the last 26 years. So, for whatever reason, obviously there's more American players, but the Americans tend to dominate this event more so than what you see with some other tournaments. 8 of the last 9 as well have featured winners from the U.S. for what that's worth. So otherwise, yeah, it should be a fun event. Better shot tracking at least this week, and a nice mix of holes that are fairly difficult and holes that are scoreable. Sometimes you see that kind of 13 to 17 under range for this event, so it's not the true birdie fest like we'll see with the tournaments coming up like the John Deere. So we'll have a fun event this week. Full field. I'm sure there'll be more live talk. Answer has been the latest guy reported. Is there any other rumors today from defectors to the live tour?
Just from some podcasts I listen. I think Morikawa maybe, which would be pretty wild. Ricky's in the field, so I don't know what's going on with him. You mentioned Answer. Yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like everyone's pretty much in play outside of Rory, Spieth, Scheffler. Who knows? Well,
we will find out soon enough, and potentially after the Tour Championship, you could get some additional news on that. But Answer, the one that has dropped today for the most part. So, all right, let's go ahead and dig into the golfers. Fairly strong field assembled here for the week after a major. So we've got quite a few of strong options in the 10K plus range. Scheffler, again, contends every week, it seems like. You've got Rory teeing it up again this week, the 4th week in a row for him, which he rarely does. You've got JT, Burns, Cantlay, Schauffele rounding out that 10K plus tier. And from our first pass at ownership, looks like it's going to be pretty spread out amongst that bunch. So who do you like from the top tier?
Yeah, a lot of big names up here. It's hard not to or hard to just cross one out. I think Cantlay's probably my favorite. He's a guy that, again, if you take out the majors, he's been as good as anybody over the last year. He's finished T14 or better in 10 of his last 14 starts. Talk about a guy that's good on Pga courses. He has the best strokes gained per round of anyone in the field on Pga courses. He's never finished worse than 15th here. So I think his floor ceiling at this price point is better than anyone's up here. But, yeah, man, Rory's been awesome. He just seems to, shoot himself out of it at the majors, and then once he's out of it, he makes those big charges. JT, kind of think he's going to bounce back after a bad U.S. Open. Xander, the only thing with Xander, he doesn't play well on Pga courses for whatever reason, so he's usually my go-to guy, and I played a ton of him last week, so maybe Xander's my odd man out here. And then Scheffler, I'm just always below on Scheffler, and I always end up, regretting it.
That's not the rule. The rule now is you just got to play him every week.
No, that's your rule, and then I didn't follow it last week, so I can't start now.
Is Scheffler infield? If yes, click button. That's the rule until he proves us otherwise.
Is he your favorite?
He's not. I agree with you on Cantlay. I mean, given the course layout, 4 straight top 15s here. I think with $1,000 savings, Cantlay. And then Rory with the way he's playing. I mean, yeah, he didn't win last week, but still another really solid finish. And then Scheffler, I think those would be my top 3. So hard to tune out any of the guys here, but Burns does rate out the lowest in the projections, and kind of like your little thought process there on Xander, who we also have as one of the more popular ones right now. So probably Cantlay, Rory, Scheffler, top 3 for me, Burns, and Xander as maybe the odd 2 out.
I like it. And hey, we got some people in the chat. Bill Tomas been with us a long time, so shout out to him. Finally a week with no weather, he says. very looking forward to that. Making lineups just based on tee times is just one of my least favorite things to do. And then Alex says, John Deere Classic, best tournament all year. I think I might disagree
that's not
with
my
that,
burner.
but yeah, right in your backyard.
It is, and then I'm going to be out of town. I'll be here for the show next week, but then I'll be out of town for the weekend, and I didn't realize it. The John Deere Classic is usually the following week. It's usually the week before the Open Championship, but they moved it up to the 4th of July weekend this week. So I can't go because I'm going to be out of town, but always a fun tournament. So that's not my burner post in that, but yeah, if you like minus 30 and random winners and golf in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, the John Deere is up your alley. All right, so let's move into the 9K range, and you still, again, pretty strong range here, a little deeper than what you would normally see the week after a major. Spieth, Im, Niemann, Finau, Bradley, Brooks, Koepka. Everyone's talking about him going to Live Tour, and he's teeing it up the week after a major. Not sure what's up there. We got Fleetwood in here as well. So, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good names in the range. I won't be playing any Brooks, that's for sure. Pretty bad week last week. He's typically a guy I don't play at non-majors anyway, so he's a guy I can cross off. Spieth, if you just played him the week after the majors, he's been really good. He won and he finished 7th so far, so he's won this event. I don't mind going back to Spieth. Sung Jae was kind of on the wrong end of the weather. Niemann, I really like Niemann. Struggled a bit on the weekend, but he's a guy that plays well on Pga courses, very good on par 70s as well. Then I also did a split just on TBC courses, and he rated out pretty well on that too. So I like Niemann probably the best, but Keegan in the Northeast, it's been a real narrative over the years. He's played well at TBC Boston, played well last week. And he's got that tee to green game that you're kind of looking for here. So if he can putt well, which is a big if, I think he missed. I think he had like 9 putts in the first 3 holes on Sunday, which was pretty ugly.
That's not great.
But yeah, and he had 2 lip outs for birdie and then missed both the comebackers. Anyway, so yeah, I think I like Niemann the most, but I mean, Finau with the bounce back is interesting. Anytime you get him off of Bermuda, I like him. Tommy Fleetwood with the bounce back. These are just all guys that missed the cut that were popular last week. So I think it's a great range to kind of get overweight on some of
them. Varner as well. He missed the cut too, right?
Yeah, he did. And I don't know. Somebody said he had tonsillitis last week, so maybe that had something to do with it. And speaking of, man, but we had all these guys that were, questionable heading into teeing it up at the U.S. Open, and then Answer withdraws. Had him in one of my bigger lineups. And it was like 2 minutes before lock or something, so I didn't.
Yeah, it was. It was like 2 minutes before. Thankfully, I dodged that one. I've been on the wrong side of a lot of those this year, especially at the Masters. So yeah, dodging that one when everyone was concerned about Spieth. Obviously, everyone was concerned about Varner, though that one wasn't publicized quite as much.
And then Cantlay had some issues.
Yeah, he had some issues. I mean, all the Ricky Fowler fans were just waiting for somebody else to withdraw after Answer did, and there wasn't anybody else. So tough breaks for sure if you had Answer last week. This range is tough. I mean, because a lot of these guys, if you play the recency bias game, none of them really, outside of Keegan, played great last week. Everyone else, missed a cut or finished around 50th or something like that. And you just, you wonder, well, a week after a major, hey, at least those guys didn't have to play all 4 rounds. So I am okay with sprinkling them in. There's not a whole lot separating them. So a personal bias will come into play with a lot of it. But I think Bradley in the Northeast, I'll buy that narrative a little bit. Finau, I'm still okay with where his game is at. He was on the wrong side of the weather draw last week, which ended up being about a stroke and a half. I think the first 2 rounds, if you were on the wrong side of the draw. So he missed the cut by 2. I'm okay with him. Sung Jae missed the cut on the number, obviously. So those guys I'll sprinkle in, but I do think, and I agree with Bill in the chat saying it sets up as a stars and scrubs week. I do think that's the case, mainly just because I do think the 10K plays, for an extra $600 or $700, I do like them a little bit better. So any other thoughts on that 9K range? Otherwise, you can start moving down into the 8Ks if you like.
I do like Varner a little bit. I thought he'd be more popular, but maybe the miscut is kind of throwing people off. He's had a lot of good, really hot weeks with the irons, and his putting's been better. So I like him as, kind of a low-on play. And then Seamus Power's been playing great. Doesn't seem like anybody wants to play him. He's coming off of a strong week as well. T12 at the U.S. Open. So two of the lower-owned guys that I like. Moving into the 8Ks, I'm playing Brian Harman. He did break my heart last week. I had a big bet on his top 40, and he bogeyed his last two holes to finish T43. So Harman knows me this week. Clearly, he's going to make it right. He wouldn't do me like that 2 weeks in a row. This is more of his type of course. He's got 3 top 10s here in the last 4 years. You have two guys that always garner ownership in Mito and Davis Riley. This is a course where, course history does matter. It's one of the more predictive on the PGA Tour. So it doesn't mean these guys can't come out and play well. But if they're both going to be really popular, I'll probably be underweight on them in my MME builds. I like Leishman. He played well last week, finally, after a really bad stretch for the last few months. And then my favorite play is all the way at the bottom. Oh, he's actually in the 7th. So I'll save him for the next range.
Yeah, decent plays in here. I mean, you get a little bit of savings from the 9Ks. I do like the bounce back for Mito, and it'd be interesting to see where his ownership trends, but he grades out well in the projections, and at 8,700, I'm fine with him. And just some, steady guys that either you get a mix of guys who've played well over the last, like Leishman, McCarthy played well last week, or, maybe that struggled, but still have some potential. Like a Harman or, Jason Kokrak, something like that. Those guys, I think you can absolutely mix in your tournament builds, but I'm in on Mito and Aaron Wise over Riley if you're trying to decide between the guys at the top. Just like what I'm seeing from those guys, and they project much better in our projections at RotoGrinders, Mito and Wise over Riley. And Riley, we've got with the highest ownership right now of the trios. So, all right, your thoughts on the upper end of the 7K range? I guess you'd have a play that's fairly close to the 8K mark there.
Yeah, my favorite play is Brendan Todd at 7,900. Doesn't look like he's going to be too popular, 11%. I don't mind that. So he finished 3rd at Colonial, backed it up with T13 in Canada. And throughout his career, he's been known for fairways and putting. But if you look at his game log, he's gained on approach in 5 of his last 6. If you look at any sort of time frame, when it comes to approach, he's was below average over the last 18 months, right around average over the last 6 months, and then really good over the last 3 months. So I think the irons are trending. He's always good on these shorter par 70s. He's finished top 30 here each of the last 2 years. And yeah, I really like him. He's 100-1 right now on DraftKings. If you want to, take a sprinkle there, I'm probably going to be betting him. I think Steele's interesting. He's gained 40 strokes ball striking his last 6 events. That's what he was always known for. And then for the last couple of years, he just hasn't been that good of a ball striker. But that seems to be back. So I like Brendan Steele. Seabez, anytime we get him on a shorter course, I think he makes a lot of sense, even though this is his first time at this event. And then I'll go back to Siwoo Kim, kind of play into that Pete Dye narrative. He's won, he won the Amex, he won the Players, both Pete Dye designs. So I think that makes some sense.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, because of his kind of ups and downs, how many people go there this week. And the ownership will start to spread out once you get past. I think McNeely will be pretty popular at 7,700. Steele, who you mentioned. Once you get past that group, though, it'll spread out a little bit. KH Lee's been playing decent. I think he's a solid enough option at 7,600. Will people go back to the Tringali train now? He played pretty well last week too. He was one of them that I didn't really mention off the top, but his form has slowly come around a little bit. So is it time to, like, Tringali was oddly expensive for the longest time, and now here he is at 7,400. Interesting to see if people go there too.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing this guy every week all year. Didn't play any last week. I was like, well, if he can't contend at these, easy courses. But I have always said he plays the harder courses better, so I should have probably just played him again. He rates out as the 3rd best point per dollar option in my model, but the course history is pretty bad. He's so up and down. He's one of those guys that if he's going to be popular, I'll go the other way. I'll go to Jonathan Vegas right there. He's been really good on Pga courses. His course history has been up and down. But if you look at his numbers from the last event, the Canadian Open, he gained like 11 strokes ball striking, lost it all with the putter. So I'm okay going back to him instead of Tringali.
Yeah, right now we've got Tringali at about 10% ownership. If he stays in that range, I'll probably still take a sprinkle or two. But you can always get some pivots in this range. Streelman is a guy I like a little bit. Not having the best of seasons, but his putter has been uncharacteristically bad of late. And he's got a pretty solid history here. Missed the cut last year, but otherwise had 4 straight top 35s at this event. So Streelman, I don't mind at 7,200. Nick Hardy's a guy we've always kind of pumped up. Played really well last week. Maybe that gets him going. And you're talking, 1, 2, 3% ownership on some of these guys in the lower part of the 7K range. Hardy, Streelman, Charles Howell. I mean, guys like that. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe one of those guys pops up the leaderboard. Anything else above 7K that you're interested in that we've missed?
I mean, one of the more surprising stats that I found this week, Charles Howell's never played this event. I mean,
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I figure it's a decent course fit for him. He's coming off of a good finish. Maybe he's just adding it because they have to add a new event every year or whatever for their tour card. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Other guys I like, Lonzo Griffin at 7,100. My model always seems to love him, but he's 3 for 3 here. And he's just played some tough tracks recently, and it's all been around the green. He struggles around the green, can't chip, but he shouldn't have to need too much this week. So I like him at 7,100. I like the Streelman call. He plays well here. And then I also go to CT Pan a little bit. Fairways and greens kind of been his calling card over the years.
Yeah, Pan, I don't mind. Solid options here at the bottom part of this range that if you're trying to make that stars and scrubs lineup work, you can get, say, 2 or 3 guys here in the lower part of the 7K range, and that'll still allow you to fit, say, maybe Cantlay and Rory or something like that. If you want to get 2 studs at the top, you can make it work. You have to forego, the 9Ks and for sure the upper part of the 8Ks, but you find a few options you like down here. The chat's going to try to bait me into saying Doug Gim, but I don't think I'm going to go there this week. I like the Griffin call, and we've thrown out a few others. Ricky Fowler is going to be in the 6K soon. He's 7K. He's on life support there. Didn't get into the U.S. Open. Yeah, the narrative, maybe he's going to come motivated to play here in Connecticut, but we got him at 4% right now. Is the Ricky Fowler stand, is it still going?
I was going to say, if you had to play one, Jason Day at 81 or Ricky at 7,000?
Fowler. I'll take Fowler.
Okay.
7,000.
Okay. Day's got the history here.
He's also 1,100 more. And I'll take the 1,100 savings with broken Fowler over broken Day.
Oh my gosh, Day's 80-1. I might have to bet him. Throw more money away.
What's his odds?
80-1.
80-1.
Top 10 here. 3 of the last 4. Top 12 here. I bet on worse things.
I say that a lot. All right, we head into the punt range here in the 6Ks. This is where the field does weaken out quite a bit, but a few names that maybe stood out to me. Smotherman's been playing some pretty good golf. You can always get me on board with Adam Svensson, who we talk about quite a bit on the show, and he played pretty well with a top 30 in Canada at the Canadian Open a few weeks back. So Smotherman, Svensson can always potentially talk me into some Russell Knox on a course like this. Lipsky was massive chalk a couple weeks ago, and then he missed the cut by bogeying his last 2 holes, and now nobody's going to play him. So classic potential bounce back spot there with him not being as popular after that brutal miscut a couple weeks back. Those are a few of my favorites. Who are you looking at in the 6K range?
Yeah, Lipsky's getting some love from Bill in the chat, so I don't mind going back there. I did have him, I think, as a core play that week, so that one hurt.
That was a rough finish.
Our Discord was going crazy about that one. And then he almost sunk like a 50-footer. I think he was 2 inches short. Anyway, not that I'm bitter or anything. We had a question about Giddy Up for Goddard. Played great last week. Any interest there? He's more of a bomber, but
I actually played. I played him I believe, 15% last week, and he was 0.29% owned in the Millie Maker. And that was the week after, he kind of gained steam as the chalk du jour. I don't hate that play as a punt. He's obviously talented, and he could have finished better last week. He missed a lot of putts too.
Yeah, I like that. I do like your Smotherman call. He's like dead last around the green on tour. So if my thought process is right that you don't have to scramble that much around here, I think that's a big boost for him. I like Hake Lebiota. This is kind of the middle of his run where he just went on that crazy stretch last year where he's finishing top 10 and everything. He's a guy that hits fairways, pretty good putter on bent and Pga, 3 for 3 here at 6,500. So I like Hank. And then Charlie Hoffman finally made the cut. T35 was last time out. Great course history. If you're looking at ball strikers, the long term, I think Hoffman's at least a little interesting.
Two names that I didn't expect to be on the top of the list this week, but I like I don't mind taking some bold, low end plays this week. You are going to get some upside from somebody down here. And if you're looking in the 6Ks, like there's more options than what we saw last week. So we mentioned Goddard, Lebiota, Hoffman. I don't think Adam Schenk is the worst play. Svensson, Smotherman, Lipsky, that's like 8 right there, which is probably more sub 7K plays than we've mentioned in quite some time in an individual event. So you can get maybe a play or two to round out your lineups for your GPP lineups. Maybe you want to round out your stars and scrubs lineups down in this range.
Yeah,
I don't know what made me think of it, but did you see Grayson Murray finish -2 clubs on Sunday?
I saw the putter throw. Here comes the putter throw. Man, he got some distance on that one. What other club did he get rid of?
He snapped an iron or a wedge over his knee. A couple. He shot. He made like a quad and a triple in a 4-hole span, and that's where the 2 clubs got axed. The putter got chucked, Happy Gilmore style, and the wedge or it might have been a long iron was busted over the kneecap. So he's not the most stable fella out there.
Never forget when Siwoo broke his at the Masters and then was putting with his 3-wood. Just standing like 8 feet away from the ball. That was kind of funny. A couple questions. Jim Herman, Brandon Wu. Any interest in those guys as well?
Didn't pop my radar this week, though. I mean, we've seen Wu post a random round or two here and there, but probably not in my player pool, just since we have so many other options down there.
Yeah, we got both the Woos in the field this week. Brandon and Dylan. So one of them played on the Outlaw Tour.
I get them mixed up.
Speaking of, Dafu played on the Outlaw Tour, and he played pretty good last week.
He had a solid week. Played well on Sunday too. After Saturday kind of took him out of the mix, but he finished pretty well on Sunday. I got to see. And he's done them. He's Monday qualified for so many events, and then you see him up there on the leaderboard. Like, he's not a terrible golfer.
Oh my gosh,
for sure.
How did I bury the lead? Did you see who won the Corn Ferry Tour event?
Oh yeah, I posted it in our Slack channel last night. So Norman Zhang won the Corn Ferry Tour event after Monday qualifying for the event. Had the Monday qualify for the event, and then I think he made like double or triple on the last hole and still won by 4 shots?
Yeah, he won by 5. So
5, yeah. So he was up 7, I think, and then he hit his tee shot OB on the last hole and then double bogeyed and still won by 5. So
what does this get him? Does he get to stay on the KFT?
Yes, yeah, because they said that he's not gonna have to Monday qualify. So maybe the path is there for him to finally start fulfilling that promise. So good story for all the panda lovers out there. Let's see. Yeah, Dafu finished 31st. He shot 1 under. 67, 72, 78, 69. So would have been in there in the top 10 mix if not for that Saturday round. Kind of like Morikawa, 69, 66, 77, 66. So one bad round can take you out of contention real quick.
Yeah.
Anybody else that we've missed?
No, but I do think I'm going to go with the 6K golfer in my main lineup for the first time in the last couple months. It's just been such balanced builds look better, but I think this is the stars and scrubs week. All
right, I kind of agree. Definitely worth mix and matching some of those 6K golfers. in your GPP pools for sure. We'll see who Noto ends up landing on for his main lineup, and you can, of course, if you're a premium subscriber over at RotoGrinders, you can check out our premium content, all our lineup HQ tools. And if you're interested in sports betting stuff, we got you covered there over at scoresandodds.com for all things sports betting. Please be sure to give the thumbs up to the video on the YouTube before you leave. We appreciate that very much. Helps out the algorithms and keep us top of mind. So thanks, as always, for watching. Good luck with the golf this week. John Deere Classic next week. Always fun to talk about the weak field for that event that I only love simply because it's only about a half an hour for me. And we don't get too many golf tournaments out here in Illinois. So we'll be back next week to talk about the John Deere Classic. Until then, good luck with the Travelers Championship. Thanks to Steve for producing behind the scenes for us. Thanks to Noto for joining me. I'm Justin, and we will catch you later, everybody.